All right. Gonna record some video here talking about what's going on with Ukraine. I'm doing this for two reasons. Number one, because not a goddamn soul out there understands what's really going on, except the people that are involved directly. And number two, because I happen to be the amateur journalist responsible for breaking the news about the Maidan coup being backed by, created by, facilitated by, everything by the United States of America through the National Endowment for Democracy, the U.S. State Department, also known as the Deep State. So we're going to talk about a few things here. There's a quote-unquote war in Ukraine. No, there is a military action on the part of Russia, as Putin has said. He's not a liar. He can't lie. He's an honest statesman. Wow. Well, for the most part, anyway, as honest as they can be. But anyway, they've initiated military action in Ukraine to prevent a greater tragedy of happening in Russia. Think Libya. So the situation is Russia is attacking the military assets and nationalist soldiers and mercenaries of Ukraine in order to prevent invasion and destruction of Russia by the United States and America through Ukraine. What's really going on here? It's very serious. What's happening is that the United States of America, I shouldn't say the United States of America, I should say elements primarily within the United States of America. They also happen to be located in other countries as well. They call them the Five Eyes and throw Israel up on top of all that. But what you have is this network of State Department and related government agency bureaucrats who all do favors for each other because they're all in the same club. They're all the federal bureaucrats, mostly in the State Department. And because they're all these federal bureaucrats who always talk to each other permanently, no matter who's elected, no matter who's in office, Democrats, Republicans, it's why it all seems like it's the same no matter who's in office, because these people are really the ones in power. Mostly women, but bureaucrats are bureaucrats. And in the State Department, because they exist across the whole of the federal government and interact with other governments and thus interact and exist across the whole of the world, these people have a lot of power. Power means the ability to get things done in terms of government. And bureaucrats in the State Department can get shit done. That's why the CIA embedded themselves in the State Department long ago. They can get shit done, just can't get done elsewhere. How better to spy on a foreign nation than through the embassy? That's the first way you're going to do it. That's the way you're going to coordinate everything. That's where everything is done, all the coordination. So that is your spy network headquarters, whatever. And the spy network includes the bureaucrats. The classified information. How do you think they get the classified information in the first place? Some woman or guy in the consulate in Timbuktu or Cairo or some shit hears something from somebody on the street. That's your intelligence, and it becomes classified. But it's still there. It's still in those bureaucrats' heads and their minds and their rumor mill and the grapevine, and they talk, and it spreads that way. So you wonder how secrets are spread and how that shit gets out there. It's the nature of it. So we have to understand the nature of the beast here, the nature of the so-called deep state, of the bureaucracy of the State Department, of the U.S. consulates and embassies around the world, who really control things and do so unduly, and will again bring us to war. Brought us to war, World War I, World War II, all the wars the United States has launched against innocent countries, from Korea to where are we now? Russia. Let's back up one. Libya, Yemen, whatever. Anyway, all these proxy wars that the United States of America has launched. Excuse me, the bureaucrats within the United States American government that have taken over. So what is going on in Ukraine? What is going on is part of these continuing efforts by these fucking bureaucrats to just have more of what they have always wanted and have, this power, which is the ability to get things done. Well, like I said, they are the source of that information that becomes classified. So what do you think their mindset is about that information? Their ownership of it, the ownership of it. Whose information is it? Well, it's not the CIA's. I gave it to them. I'm more powerful. So it gets to their heads, and they know it because they have it, and they want more of it. And they want this network of rumors where they can get shit done. They don't want it stopped at the border of Russia. They don't want it stopped at the border of China. They don't want it stopped in Taiwan and Hong Kong, in South Korea, in Japan, in Australia. They don't want to have to deal with that. They want one consistent thing. Where if, for example, Michael Wolff calls Geneva, Switzerland, United Nations Human Resources, or Human Rights Commission, and talks to the Director of Affairs for Latin America, for refugees for Latin America, and asks for help, she'll know to look at that list that they've made, because they've made this network online now. She'll know to look at that networked list, and see if my name's on it, and say, oh shit, it's Michael Wolff. Okay, string him along and leave him hanging. That's procedure. That's the CIA modus operandus for dealing with dissidents. I'm a dissident because I accidentally figured out what's going on, that my government has been long ago taken over by people who aren't even humans, who want this power that they have. Okay, so to the topic at hand. What's going on in Ukraine? What's going on in Ukraine is Russia is protecting itself from these people gone haywire, because these people gone haywire are the deep state, who are also connected to and include the military-industrial complex. If you don't believe it's real, that's your problem. See the departure speech of Dwight Eisenhower, and him warning about the military-industrial complex. Yeah, everything he warned about, you ignored it. It came true. Oh, well, he's just a wacko. He's your fucking president? You think he's a wacko? Okay. How do you get to be a candidate in the first place if you think he's a wacko? Anyway, to the topic at hand, Ukraine. So Russia is destroying all of the arms that have been put in place to potentially destroy Russia's ability to defend itself from the United States and other countries, wanting to get rid of it from the national scene, because this wall they put up when these people want to get shit done. So they're over there eliminating all of it. So what is factually going on is that Russia is attacking, as they have stated, as far as I can tell, because I can't go over there and verify it, but facts are supported, or observations or statements are supported by observations and facts and previous and just everything. So the logical conclusion here is the safe assumption is that yes, Putin has told at least mostly the truth, and they are going after military assets and nationalists. And those military assets and nationalists all happen to have been imported into Ukraine from the United States primarily, but also Britain and Netherlands and Germany. A large part of those nationalists coming from Germany. Nationalists, I mean neo-Nazis, come from Germany. So I mean, they said it. They said it today. I believe it was today. Lavrov said, I believe, that the United States controls Ukraine through their State Department. Or no, this was an analyst. I'm sorry, this was a Russian analyst. He said that the United States controls Ukraine through their State Department. And this is what I revealed on March 17th, 2014. that the Maidan coup was put together by the National Endowment for Democracy, which is the State Department. And so they have and do continue to run the Ukraine. And they run the Ukraine. The United States government, the United States State Department runs Ukraine. They have a completely puppet government. Okay. How can I say this is true? Because I'm seeing the exact same thing with my own eyes and with this camera that's recorded and documented. The exact same thing happening here in Mexico, in La Paz, Baja California Sur, Mexico, where the U.S. State Department controls this state government, which has no federal government whatsoever. I thought I didn't realize the truth of it until I saw a sign from a private corporation in dispute with a state entity, Telmex, over a commercial building, and seeing that they're begging for AMLO to intervene because while they're right in the law, they can't do anything. So they're begging for intervention because the federal government won't come in here and say, yeah, you know, the law, that's how it is. For 7 years now, I've been applying for refuge here in Mexico. They've ignored me because there is no federal law here, because the state says, oh, fuck, don't do anything to this guy. The federal government says, oh, okay, whatever. They have no bite. They have no jurisdiction. They don't operate. They don't act. Completely subject to the whims of the United States. And the U.S. State Department told them to do these things to me. How do I know this? Because, according to the video you can see from September 16th, the 16-minute and 16-second video with over 1,000 views now, that I had to battle the state police on federal land here in La Paz to keep property I legally claimed for myself that had been abandoned and was abandoned, and who are the people who claim it have severely damaged me. I have every right to claim this property, and they came in and illegally removed me from it after the State Department called them and told them they would take care of it, and then called me and told me to give up after they told me legitimate authorities had arrived, which was not true. So I was a victim of the U.S. State Department superseding the government of Mexico and telling them to act. So I was illegally detained, and subsequently everything I own, including my dogs, were stolen from me because the United States federal government's State Department told them to. So how do I know what's going on in Ukraine is exactly what Russia says is going on in Ukraine, because I've seen it myself, and I saw it in 2014 when I broke the story that the United States was behind it. So, there's no doubt in my mind, there should be no doubt in your mind. The government has lied to you about everything else. The quote-unquote pandemic. You know, same question still applies. How many people do you know have died of the virus? Proven fact. Not from the treatment. If they were on a respirator, they were killed by the respirator. If they were vaccinated, they were killed by the vaccine. Proven deaths by the virus. People you know who you know indirectly. People you know who know people people you know who know people. How many? Most people, it's none. The ones that say, oh, well, this. No, prove it. Not because you want it to have been the virus. Proven to have been the virus. Absolutely be beyond shadow of a doubt. Proven to have been the virus. The virus isolated from a dead body, put into a healthy person, then made sick. And the virus taken out, shown that it's the virus. Not because of a PCR test, because the PCR test doesn't even look for the fucking coronavirus. It looks for any respiratory or human virus cell, or any respiratory virus or human cell. So, I wonder if a swab of someone's human cheek cells is going to come back and show that they're human. Yeah, no wonder there's so many positives. Why are there any negatives? Anyway, so you've been lied to about that. You're being lied to about this thing in Ukraine. Why is it important? Because the United States went into Ukraine because Ukraine had nuclear weapons. The United States was allowed by Russia to go even think about going to Ukraine because Ukraine had been removed, had their nuclear weapons taken away from them in '94. They just asked for them back. 2 days later, Russia launched its attack. In 1991, George Bush claimed that Saddam Hussein was trying to get nuclear weapons, or had them, and launched an attack on Iraq without UN approval, unilaterally. Iraq is halfway around the world. Ukraine borders fucking Russia. Okay, so let's say the Russian State Department came into Mexico and did a regime change operation and put in place their person, who then decided they were going to militarize Mexico with the Warsaw Pact or whatever, OSCE or whatever their fucking NATO equivalent is. And they started putting Russian military equipment here and Russian nuclear weapons here in Mexico. Right outside my ship, right up there on the hilltop of the Paz, was a fucking S-500 modified to launch hypersonics, so that within 3 seconds San Diego could be obliterated. Wouldn't like that, would you? Oh, wait, no, even more so. What if they brought all the communists over here and their Chechen Islamist extremists brought them over here? Yeah, and started having camps of Islamic extremist terrorists. Brought them over here. How would you feel about that? Wouldn't fucking like it, would you? Well, would you feel justified in America attacking Mexico if they decided to do this? Oh wait, what if the peninsula, what if the northern states up here decided to break off and join Mexico? What if the peninsula said, you know what, fuck these people, we're going to join the United States? And Mexico decided they're going to continuously bomb the peninsula and kill people. 14,000 people over 8 years. 40,000 people over 8 years. And would the United States just sit there and let it happen? Well, Russia did. Russia sat there and let it happen. Okay, well, so Russia sat there and let it happen. Now, what if states, the Baja states, who decided to join the states, said, you know what, we want nuclear weapons. But they were still controlled by Mexico. Or Russia. Or no, what if, I don't know. What if nuclear weapons were involved? Would you feel just, what if Mexico asked for nuclear weapons? How would you feel about that? Do you think it would be justified in bombing Mexico then? The United States bombed Iraq on false information that was made up, knowingly false information made up to justify an attack on Iraq. Nobody sanctioned the United States of America. Nobody isolated them, cut them off from SWIFT, cut them off from exporting energy, destroyed their economy. No. So why is Russia subject to all this stuff? What is the real risk here? Ukraine asked for nuclear weapons. Ukraine, controlled by the United States of America, asked for nuclear weapons on Russia's fucking border? What's at stake here? Your existence. Your ability to breathe. Your ability to have cells that aren't obliterated by nuclear explosions. Your fucking life is at stake here. Is it important? Yes, it's important. Is the truth being told? No. Is there a way to figure out what the truth is? Absolutely. Don't believe. Confirm. If you can't go and see for yourself, come to Mexico. If you don't believe that Ukraine is controlled by the United States, come to La Paz, Baja California, Mexico. Watch my videos. Come talk to me. Come see for yourself. Do the research. Look up the name, Malcolm Neil Schroeder Schoen. See what he controls down here. Come and see for yourself. Come take a tour. Let me introduce you to the quote-unquote cartel. Introduce you to some drug dealers. Let me show you how it's all done. Show you how the law works and doesn't work down here. Let me show you the signs from companies desperate for intervention because their illegal efforts to make some money in this place, doing honest labor and honest work, have been thwarted because a bunch of fucking assholes are in charge because they have power given to them by the U.S. State Department and can use that power to overcome their fucking incompetence. It's the only way they can be in business because they're so fucking incompetent they couldn't be in business otherwise. And see what a shithole this place is. Watch my other video. It reveals just how bad this place is. The most polluting energy source on the planet. The worst tourism you could possibly do. You want to come destroy the planet in one tour, one vacation? The most destruction you could possibly do in one vacation, come to La Paz. You can even come see the billionaires that are doing the work themselves too. You know, billionaires are doing most of the work, destroying most of the carbon footprint. That's why billionaires are like 400 times as much carbon as you and I use together. Yeah, come see it for yourself. Then apply that to what is being said about what's going on in Ukraine. You've seen for yourself. You've seen the United States lies. You've seen they control someone else's government, their country. Well, you will see it. And you can apply it to what's going on over there. You're not going to just think I'm just some other fucking Putin apologist or whatever the fuck that is. I don't even know the guy. I'd like to meet the guy. I think he might be intelligent, but I don't think he's that smart to lead the country. A true genius wouldn't be involved in your shit. So I have some respect for him, but only relative to the rest of quote-unquote leaders of the quote-unquote world. So what do you do about this? Well, don't spread bullshit. Don't say what you hear as though it's true. If you hear something and you want to share it as something you heard. Hey, listen to what the government is saying. Ask yourself questions. Why are they censoring news outlets? Why are they sanctioning? Why are they doing these things to Russia? Why does it seem like there was this big rush to do these things to destroy the Russian and global economy based on something that they knew was going to happen? That's what you should be doing. Instead of sitting there wondering what the fuck to do, you should be asking yourself what is going on so that you can figure out what to do. Or, well, I'm not going to put yourself in that way. I've already answered the question. I answered it long ago. I figured out what to do, and no matter what the situation is. Take care of myself. Be self-sufficient. The sounds you hear in the background, the water around my boat that I live on. You know, I can take care of myself. I don't buy power. I buy propane so I can cook, but I won't need to do that in the future. I haven't got that quite figured out yet, but I won't have to do that in the future. But so I've got that all solved. But you know, I don't need to answer those questions because I always am answering those questions. What's going on in the world? I know what's going on in the world. How close are we to nuclear war? Tomorrow, possibly. Yeah, it's that close. I'm that fucking scared. And I'm that far away from San Diego. and the wind's blowing the right way, that I have just enough time that I can do all the right things, everything I need to get the hell out of here and be safe from the fallout. Yes, I know how to survive. And no, you can't come with me. But it is important because you have to ask yourself some questions. And first question is, do you want to survive? I guess the first question is, do you want to fucking continue to live that way? This could be stopped. Call your goddamn representative. Get on the phone with the motherfuckers and tell them to stop fucking being dumb, immature assholes. Don't sit and wait for the military to come and save your asses. It ain't gonna happen. Find the truth, learn it, spread it. Don't spread lies, obviously. And figure out what you want to do. But I highly recommend against believing what the government says, because elected officials are mostly beholden to the people who are always there. I happen to have some advice on who isn't in the deal, and that would be those three representatives. No, actually, that would be the one representative who isn't Jewish who voted against the resolution condemning Russia for Ukraine. That would have to be mine, fortunately, because he's working against those cunts in Social Security to get my benefits back that they fucking stole from me because the State Department decided I didn't need my disability anymore. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know what's going on. I know what I'm going to be doing. I know what I need to do. And I know what to do if things don't go well. And I know that things are not going to go well for the State Department and their plans, because they have their heads straight up their fucking asses when it comes to logic and reason. They think they have all this power, but they don't realize that it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Just ask Adolf Hitler.